Hello everyone. Welcome to the Prudent Finance Great Conversations podcast. Today, we are incredibly honored to host Sanjay Rohatgi, a trailblazing product and business leader at the intersection of AI, Fintech, SaaS, Telecom, and e commerce. Currently a principal at Spyr.AI, Sanjay brings over 2 decades of experience in driving high impact product strategies and digital transformation across global enterprises. His leadership roles as at Mobido, American Express, Circles.Life, and Akana reflect a proven track record of full P&L ownership and scaling B2B and B2C platforms from 0 to 1 and 1 to N. Sanjay's expertise lies in the building world-class SaaS payment ecosystems across US, Asia, Europe, and blending technical vision, product evangelism, and strategic market alignment. He is also a mentor, angel investor, and respected voice in product innovation and customer engagement with a particular focus on next-gen AI, APIs, digital payments, enterprise fintech, and infrastructure. Educated at the University of Pennsylvania and University of Buffalo, Sanjay has consistently operated in frontiers of emerging tech, whether it's advising startups, leading enterprise scale transformations. He is known for the pushing boundaries for all what's possible on the global product delivery. In our conversation with Sanjay today, we'll explore themes such as what AI native products and strategies should look like in financial services, the next evolution in embedded finance and global payment infrastructure, lessons from scaling in Asia and West, how to build the platform trust, resilience, and monetization at scale, and how Sanjay envisions a world where legacy fintech is disrupted by the product first thinking and decentralized innovation. So, whether you are a fintech professional, an AI product manager, or a student passionate about technology and payments, this conversation promises to be a masterclass in product leadership, fintech foresight, and the transformative role of AI in reshaping global digital ecosystem. If this is the first time you're visiting our channel, please do subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss the latest episodes every month. So let's dive into the podcast. So hi Sanjay, how are you and how are you feeling?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you, Shivam. And thanks for the opportunity for this podcast. I'm happy to share whatever you have said. You have said a lot of things. Let's see how much of that is really of any value to people, but I would love to share my background and skill.
Yeah. No, it's quite inspiring to see your story. I have known your story, but it's quite important for our audience to know it as well. So I'll start with my first question and we'll go in back time, explore your studies, your career, your family, how you came up to become a product manager in different places and how you took this world of payments, digital tech, and so on. Like what inspired you in this?
So let me share my journey with you. I came to US a while ago, 40 plus years ago, after doing my high school in India. And I came because my uncle and aunt were there. And they invited me. That was very kind of them to bring me over. I did my undergrad at SUNY Buffalo, and from there I did my master's at UPenn in Philadelphia, both in electrical engineering and so hardcore engineering. That's how I started my career. And my first job was with a company called AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, where I was involved in a number of different projects. Probably all of us at this day and age use a computer, laptop, some handheld device. So, there are a bunch of chips that go inside those devices. I started actually my career building those devices, microprocessor, memory chips, and graphics chips, all of those things. That's how it started. That was the part one of my professional career. And I did a number of startups. To be precise, 6 startups. I was involved in 6 startups. From very successful public companies to crash and burn and everything in between. So that's how it was. But it was good lessons learned. I think I learned a lot more from the companies that failed versus the company which was successful, because they were successful. I wasn't sure even what were the things that were successful, but definitely I knew the companies which failed, why they failed. So there were a lot of learnings from the failed ventures, so to say. So that was a part one of my life. And then I moved from chip design into software side and the IT side. And that journey started in 2008. And so I like to start with that because that has a lot of relevance with what's happening today in the fintech world and how we make payments and so on. So I founded a company in 2008 called MobiDo. Mobi refers to mobile, Do refers to slang for money. And the whole idea was, how you can simplify payment.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Payment is a very complex thing, and it's like every transaction needs a payment, right? And how can you? So it's so pervasive, so prevalent all over that there was a lot of opportunity to optimize the payment flows. And the idea was that we should not be carrying thick wallets, right? The wallets have, you have bills, you have cards, and the wallets stick in your back pocket, and you sit down and your back hurts. So that was the actually incentive. And I had I had lower back problems, so I didn't want to have the thick wallet sticking in my back pocket. So I said, hey, there has to be a better way to build the payment system. And so original idea was actually to build the payment on a key fob. If you can unlock your car with the key fob by pressing a button, why can't you make the payment? That was the whole idea, right? So you can bring a key fob close to the payment device and make the payment. And since I'd come from a chip design background, I said, well, that could be built. Yeah, definitely it could have been built. And I started building it, but that was a very expensive proposition. Just to get started, you needed $100 million. So I shelved that idea. Fast forwarded, so that idea was in my mind in 1997, 99, right? That's the idea. So I shelved the idea. Fast forward, mobile became ubiquitous. Everybody was carrying a mobile phone. And there was the network reliance was pretty high. One network could talk to other network free, and the reliability was very high. So in 2008, I launched a company, MobiDo, so I could actually do mobile payments. And that's nice. This was the era where your Nokia, Blackberries, Motorola were the phones, and iPhone had just started, but had not wasn't prominent, right? So it was still what we call the feature phone and candy phone. And the idea was to make mobile payments on any phone, right? So this is before your Google Pay and Apple Pay. So I actually started payments before Google and Apple Pay. And
that's nice to hear that.
Yes. And the first place I launched was actually in India. So India, I launched a program called QSkip because I realized in India, you're lining up for everything. For payment.
Yes.
For bus ticket, you line up. For if you have to pay the bill, you have to line up. If you have to buy a movie ticket, you have to line up. So that every place there was a lineup. So the name of the product was QSkip. You skip the queue.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So and it could work on any phone. So on Nokia phone or Motorola phone, you didn't need a fancy phone, so you can actually make the payment. And we launched with a Telecom BSNL in West Bengal, and an electricity company, so you can pay actually your electricity bills. So your bill will show up on your phone, and you can click button and you make payment. This is before Paytm, by the way. Those guys had not come, or they had just started to come. In fact, I did partner with the Paytm for a short period of time to share some of the technology stuff and so on, because Intel was an investor in them, and Intel was working with us actually to embed the payment module into their phones. So that's kind of where I started into the fintech world, because I saw there was a pain point which was not solved yet. How to make the payments, right? Of course, you go to 2014, 2015, now mobile payments had become fairly common at that point.
Yes. Earlier, from my experience in India, people were not believing that we will be needing those much amount of volumes of digital payments. And now even a street vendor in India has that Paytm's QR code, and we can just scan it, pay it through it, and then move on. So people were not even were not believing that this could be a system. And as you said, that there was a queue up for everything, whether it's movies and so on and stuff. So yeah, like the innovation which came in for the digital payments have actually restructured India, and it's a very great digital economy for India as well.
Right, right. And unfortunately, in 2014, I sold the business in 2014.
Okay.
And so I was there for about 6 years, and but it was a very good ride for 6 years. It was a great ride. And then I moved on to companies like American Express, Mastercard, where I led B2B payment. And here the challenge was a little bit different. Earlier I was more focused on P2P or consumer side of the payment, and I was more involved in building from scratch. And when moving to companies like Mastercard and American Express, where your transactions is hundreds of billions of dollars happening, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
It's no more the question of can we build it, which was that startup like Mobido, you're thinking of something new. At companies like Mastercard or American Express, it's not about can you build it, but also can you scale it. If you build it, can you scale it, right? So and scale it.
Major thing was there.
So
Yes.
right. So then it's requires different kind of thinking. It's more about building a platform. It's about network. It's about regulation. It's about resilience. So the challenges keep changing as you build from 0 to 1 versus 1 to n, right? So there are different set of challenges, but nonetheless, the principles of building do not change, right? And the focus on the consumer problem, as long as you're focused on the consumer problem and solving for that doesn't change. So there's been a great ride, working on both startup side and large corporations. And now I'm back into then for a period of time I moved to Singapore just to be close to India for family reasons. And I was there in Singapore for 2 years for another startup, Circles, which was in Telecom. And this was really a company trying to change how telecom operates. Telecom is, again, one of the industry which is stuck in past. Has been around forever, while all the telecom, cell phone providers offer you a web page or an app, but underneath, it is still a very monolithic legacy architecture, which doesn't serve the current demands the digital native wants. So the premise of this telecom was how to build really a telecom from ground up, which is the digitally born, and that was the premise. And so we built a digital platform from soup to nuts that starting from scratch that will serve the digital natives.
True.
And now I'm back in US after 2 years of expat assignment and launched another company called Spyr.AI.
Oh, that's nice to know.
So here the focus is really, as we have seen the progression, we have a new wave of technology and innovation. We are at that point, everybody is talking about AI, generative AI. AI has been around for a number of years, by the way. Now it has become a household name. We have been doing AI, ML for the longest time. When we talk about data insights, it has always been about ML and AI, right. But now it has become a household name thanks to the likes of ChatGPT. So this company was more focused on helping other companies. So this is a boutique consulting company, Spyr.AI. Which is helping startups as well as the large enterprises design and scale financial products. A lot of things that we focus on is agentic AI.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, So, there is bringing, the reasoning part, the autonomy part, complete end-to-end solution. How do you bring agentic AI into the system? So that's my latest gig that I'm working on, and helping companies build fintech products based on AI.
Oh, that's amazing to know. And the thing which you're talking about, agentic AI. So can you like explain a little more? I know you should not go into nitty gritties and details, but like how it would help in your startup while applying that.
Well, think of agentic AI. I mean, I'm a product guy, and we do a lot of things. The product, we understand the pain point of our users, and then really try to look from their point of view and then build product, right? So, and there is a lot of market research required. There's a lot of prototyping required. A lot of experiments needs to be required. Then you have to write product specs. Then you have to work with engineering to build the wireframes and do A/B testing. You do design an MVP and you roll out the product. So there are a lot of tasks that we do. And so now think of it, if I can clone myself and have four other people sit beside me and that I can guide. So that's what I call agentic AI, right? So helping really people to create or clone themselves or clone other people. The job they're doing is to cloning them and help them do it. Of course, it's not perfect, so that's why you need the human in the loop. The companies who offer LLM, and then you you have your own data to supplement that to really build an agentic AI, which is very, very focused to certain needs, right? So to give you an example, today, we are working on some agentic AI flows which are related to insurance or payment fraud, right? So how do you detect the payment fraud? And that's really analyzing, and it's reacting to the different environment and making decisions, and there are two types of decisions that happen. That is before the fraud happens and after the fraud happens, right? So you can look at both ways because these are two separate journeys. And so, that the one of the areas that we are working and helping other companies build products on that area.
Yeah, it's quite inspiring and quite a game changing technology, I would believe, which you are building in Spyr.AI as well. Because, and I'll happy to explore it sometime as well, and our audience as well. Maybe some product managers who are looking at it might reach out to you as well, or some communities or entrepreneurs who are looking at it might reach out to you and get more ideas about it. So yeah, it's a nice thing which you're doing, Sanjay, and I see that the change in technology which was there in last 5 to 10 years has been extravagant as it was in the past 2 to 3 decades, or maybe 3 4 decades. So I think the technology is changing with quite a lot of time and with increased, you can say, exponentiality. And more and more GPTs are coming in, more and more. Now you can build your own GPT from Chat GPT and so and stuff. So we need more and more. But the only thing which I believe is that why we need humans is a experience and we trust. So still the trust process is not there that much, but and for that only you need trustworthy good startups like Spyr.AI as well, who will actually guide and customize according to the customer needs or and needs of the person who is coming to you for their product, and you can guide them and make a product whichever way, whichever thinking they have for the startup for their business, and accordingly deliver it to them. So yeah, it's kind of nice to know that. Coming to our second.
Shubham,
Yes.
yeah, no, go ahead. I was just going to add to that. When you say this, there is a very important point that you made, the
Yes.
trust factor, right? I mean, so first of all, one thing is for clear: AI is no longer a feature; it's a platform. It's a really something, a layer that now it's going to be available in all products, right? That's
Yes.
given.
Yes.
But the more important thing is it cannot be, it's like a child that's growing up, which, you have to hold the hand,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So there is a lot of parenting required for AI, and you have to be there to make that is reliable, and you have to, and this parenting has to be ongoing. I believe there will never be a time where it will be completely on auto mode, right? I mean, there will always be times you have to keep refining it, keep refining it, keep refining it. Perhaps the oversight will reduce significantly, but there won't be a time that this is running on its own.
True. Yeah, and that's why I believe that the way you talked about the parenting, yes, it does require that particular steps or the human brain to actually guide it how to do it according to the customers or the demand which is coming into play. Because
Right.
if the AI is not able to generate what we want or the customer wants, then it's just a normal factual information which we are getting. It requires people, it requires brain to develop that. But yeah, it does your work in a very good manner as you guide it. And if you're a good guider or a prompter, or if you are a good person who can actually use it, develop something and build it for the customers, then AI is quite good for you as well. So coming to our next questions. So for example, we have already talked about your company like Spyr.AI, and we saw that how you developed Mobido before like Apple payments and Google payments were even there. So AI and product leadership, how do you see like generative AI and machine learning shaping up in the next wave of the product innovation? Like how do you see their roles playing up here as well? And do you see the normal traditional software engineering is there and they are converging into machine learning and so on, or we have some other thoughts?
So we kind of touched upon it a bit. I see AI is no longer an option, right? AI is going to be a part of everything, right? This is a big pivotal moment that we have right now, and you name a field, right? You name a field where AI is not going to be part of it. So this is, as I was saying earlier, this is your infrastructure layer. Now, AI is the infrastructure layer. You build upon it. It helps you build upon it. And it unlocks a lot of use cases. It unlocks operational efficiency. It allows people to actually operate at a much higher level, because if somebody can do the base work, I can build on top of it, right? So those are some of the things that it will. The fact that now AI can, there's the reasoning involved, there is a decision making involved. It can understand the sentiments. So those are very powerful attributes these models have had, or these AI models have, right? And now we can make use of it to really build new products, or to have agentic AI to bring it. So I believe it's going to be pervasive in our lives.
No, I actually understand that. And like talking about like the fintech B2B transformations. So like what are the key changes you see in B2B payment platforms that must be embraced post like 2025, or maybe post an era which has already gone and there were some traditional eras, but now you believe that these are the changes and now they should be like that?
So, great question. B2B is something that I closely follow, and have worked on it and continue to work on the B2B space. B2B, there are trillions of dollars of transactions happen, hundreds of trillions of dollars of transactions happens, right? And interestingly, those transactions are still done in a very archaic way. There is a lot of paper involved in these transactions. There are still people who are sitting with red pens and yellow highlighters, trying to figure out what's wrong and what's not, right? I mean, I still see that paper and pens culture still exists, right? In spite of the fact that technology has moved on, in spite of that, there are tons of tools available, but there is a cultural change is required for people to move. So, recently I was looking at some article that 70% of B2B payments is still paper driven, right? Uh, 40% of payments made in US are still done via check, which is, it's not the technology is not there. I mean, faster, you have faster payments, you have same day payments, you have for international, you have stable coin, uh, you have ACH, you have all sorts of technologies that are available, but people are just kind of, because of legacy reasons, stuck in it, right? There was a big change happen in during the COVID time. So COVID, because everybody was stuck in their own quarters, and the paper chain was broken, and lot of digital innovation, or I should not say innovation, because it was already there. Adoption was there. Digital adoption happened, right? And I think the next wave is coming now with the AI, right? So I think this is the time when we see that a lot of AI will be adopted in the B2B payment flows, right? So there are three things that I see what's going to happen going forward here. Embedded finance, right? Payment should not be something that is, its payment is a means to end. I'm buying something, I have to make a payment, right? Think of it, Uber, right? Uber is a great example. You call it Uber to go to point A to point B. You give your current location, you give your destination, you get into the car, you get out of the car. That's it.
Yes.
Payment happens in the background. Payment should be invisible. That's the best form of the payment. When you're not doing the payment, that's where you want to be, right? When it automatically happens, because all the checks and balances should have hey, did we receive the goods? Were the goods in good condition, or the services were in good condition?
There's always a reconciliation. Yes.
So all of those should happen behind the scenes automatically. And that's where there's a lot of, I don't need a button for payment. So those should all go away. And I think the AI promises that. A lot of this, the next thing is the data analytics piece, right? Because there's so much happening, right? So in the payments, how do all this data is a massive amount of data that flows, right? Massive amount of data is associated. Now, it's not possible for people to check for these frauds and anomalies in the payments, or trends, or how to make the payment, or when to make the payment. These are very difficult decisions, right? So another thing is the intelligence that you're going to bring into the system through AI, right? That's another aspect that's going to come. And the third thing I would say is interoperability and the trust factor. You are dealing with multiple systems across. To give you an example, some of the countries, like in Europe, e-invoicing is mandated, right? So I think in fact in Asia, several countries are doing e-invoicing. These things are gonna make sure that the systems are they can interoperate, they can work at a level, because I should be able to ingest that in e-invoice is not just the invoice you send through an email, by the way. E-invoice is a special invoice that comes with a certain structure. Government gets notified, tax is clearly identified, service charges are clearly identified, and then the payments are made against it, and the taxes are automatically accounted for, and things like that. The interoperability has to be there. The smart contracts is another aspect, right? How would the blockchain play into this? Why do I have to do three-way reconciliation? Why do I have to do all of those things, to make the whole thing invisible? If I have smart contracts, blockchains, and all of that things happens automatically, the payments get made, everybody is happy in the ecosystem, right? So to play nice within the ecosystem. So those are some of the trends I would see beyond 2025.
Yeah, and I believe that you correctly pointed out that how it's like we can remove the redundancy in some of the areas which are not required, and make sure that those processes are made more easier, just like the e-invoices you talked about, and make sure that all the authorities are avoiding that, like again and again the reconciliation of things, then the back end processes which happen. It can be made more easier with the help of AI, and with the help of like applying that AI to our knowledge as well, as to what we are trying to do in the payment system and the payment world as well. Right, that was a nice perspective. That was nice to know. And coming to like you have like building global products throughout. You have been in the processes as well, and from Singapore to San Francisco Bay Area, like what has been your formative leadership moments in your life as well? Because you might be sometimes you might be guided by people, sometimes you might be guided by your own self. What were those some moments which told that, hey Sanjay, let's do this and move?
So, I've been actually very fortunate, I would say, to have worked in various different countries, various different
Mm,
cultures. I've worked in India. I did an expat in India for 2 years. I've done an expat in Singapore. I have done a stint in Dubai. And while I've physically worked in these places and have had an immersive experience, but throughout, I would say, my career, I've always worked with a globally diverse team, right?
mm,
And all of that, actually, there's a lot of learning that happens, right? To be sensitive to a certain culture, to be sensitive to a certain style. When you asked me about the leadership, so I would say the leadership, there has to be a context to the leadership. The leadership style that work in Silicon Valley may not be the right leadership style in Singapore or in Bangalore, so to say, or Germany. The styles are quite different. Just to share some examples, right? In Singapore, it's very structured and hierarchical. People are incredibly thoughtful, very courteous. They are really doing what you ask them to do. They would not share their opinion very openly, right? Unless
Very,
they're asked for,
very.
and they're careful how they voice their opinion in
Okay.
Singapore, right? So it is the culture where there's a lot of respect for seniority, hierarchy, titles, and so on. So while in San Francisco, Silicon Valley is very different. People speak their mind.
Mm,
They're risk takers. Uh, they're,
nice.
their organizations are a lot more flat. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Singapore culture is not good, or
Mm.
or or San Francisco culture
Yeah,
is
they're
very
just
blunt.
different.
They're different. They're different in both work. And as a leader, you have to make sure that you're able to actually promote the innovation, able to create safe environment, able to allow people of both the types, people who are sitting in a corner and shying away from speaking, to contribute, as well as somebody who is just continuously talking and perhaps not necessarily allowing other
Mm,
people to talk to, right? So you have to make sure
mm,
that how, as a leader, how do you bring your team along? and
true,
and so
true.
it's a very contextual leadership, I would say, right? So what
Mm,
may work in one culture
mm,
may not
mm,
work in other. But the
mm,
thing that I would say the common denominator is, you
mm,
have to be there has to be clarity in communication. You have to be very clear in communication. You have to
mm,
be very clear in setting objectives. You have to be very clear in respecting people's values. You have to be very clear that you create safe environment for people to voice their opinion. I mean, I think those are some of the common denominators that cuts across all the culture.
got it, got it. No, I actually find it quite true as well, because I did a podcast with my professor who is 40 years old into currency trade in Singapore, and that's what he learned from there as well. That as you said, that Singapore has a different culture, but at the same time, that's the culture to you can say you can assimilate to, and also you should see how different cultures in Bay Area and India and Singapore are there, and the leadership comes when you merge all these cultures and still work in a very, you can say, harmonious environment, and also make sure that you are getting different you can say knowledge experiences, you are getting different you can say expertise from all of the areas. That's how you brainstorm in all of the startups and big companies as well. So that's quite a good point to know from you, Sanjay. The one thing which I wanted for our audience also is to know, and this will be slightly a semi technical thing, but you can surely tell us that whatever you know about products and assets. So, like for example, your view on legacy. What do you hope that the next generation of fintech builders or learners from your work should learn? Like, where do they start from? Should they build a website? Should they start from an asset which they have? Because generally, which what I have seen from Indian perspective, that sometimes we are scared to fail. Okay. So we are taught that like sometimes that okay, you go to study and then you do a job and you earn and live a good life. But there is an inheritance to fail, that okay, what if I start this, we will fail. What if I do this, it will fail. So what do you believe that professionals in into areas like these should start with? And there is often a confusion between them as well, like whether they should start with some services, whether they should start with some asset, whether they should start with some website, or whether they should start normally as a write up and explore it with this different investors. So what do you suggest for people like it? And you can share your experience as well of Mobido and or maybe Spyr.AI as well. That how you, what was the first initial steps which came into your mind and you did it for them?
So I think it's a great question, right? And it might be different for different people, but there is one thing I would say is you should fall in love with the problem, not with the height.
Okay.
So you should
Nice.
first really understand, are you solving a problem? Are you really solving a real pain point? Don't be building an agentic AI just because you heard the agentic AI, You have to really look at it. What is the problem that you want to solve? So understand the problem. Technology, the trends, the tools, they will continue to evolve, right? That is something that will change. However, if you are always consistent about empathy towards the customer, empathy towards your consumer, and empathy towards, if you can empathize, if you can relate to their pain, think from that perspective, that makes a great product leader. So if you want to build a product, think from that angle, right? Don't think from a technology. Don't think from this is the latest, greatest. Don't think, website, APIs, mobile, all of those things are how you will deliver it.
Yes.
That is not that those are vehicles. They are not. So first understand, I'll say again, fall in love with the problem, not with the hype. Right. So once you do that, also try to learn the boring stuff. Things that are not important, because often those are the problems that will get you. The things that are not sexy, right? Especially if you're thinking anything to do with consumer or fintech or any of those things. The boring stuff is regulatory stuff.
True.
Right.
Yes.
Like so I can tell you my experience. I built Mobido, right? And it was P2P. We were doing P2P transfer. Found out that RBI had no provision for such. And right. So, but that was a boring thing. Who wants to go sit down in RBI office and spend hours and hours and hours and not get any answers, right? But that's something that I overlooked, and then I had to go back and then work with other agencies and so on, right? To figure out how do I circumvent, and then I partnered with a company who had those privileges to really. So it's important to also pay attention to the boring stuff like compliance and regulatory and so on. So because they can
Mhm.
often derail you. So, one of the things I would say is focus on customer problem, understand your strengths, very
So,
important,
yeah,
and be honest to yourself about your weaknesses. Partner with other people, create a team around yourself. If you're building products or if you're doing, partner with other people who can actually help you with your or to overcome your weaknesses,
yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So if you're an entrepreneur and want to start a company, then make sure you partner with people, not necessarily people who are going to say yes to you. Those are the wrong set of people you want to partner with. You partner with people who are going to challenge you in a positive way,
True, correct.
right? Those are the people who are going to help you, right? And then, if somebody is starting, let's say, college and want to come out and start a company, hey, it's great, right? If people can do that, that's awesome. But understand, which lane you want to be in. Find your
Mm,
lane. When I say
mm,
lane means, are you going to be, make sure you're good at certain thing. You can go deep in something, really, really deep, and it, and then have other people to support on other things. So, that's how I would say that. But building anything, first understand the problem, not the hype.
mm. Yes, yes. And I actually quite loved that sentence which you told, that you should be in love with your problem. Yeah, so we often are in love with the goals, and we often are in love with the end things which will we receive, like money and all. But yeah, this is quite a mind perspective change, that we should be in love with our problems. And I believe that yes, only then we'll be able to work it out hard, because I think running a startup and building something is a marathon, not a flat sprint. So where you will do one
Absolutely.
stint, and you will go off and you will be famous and so and stuff. So running a marathon and again failing, getting feedback from customers, getting feedback from your even stakeholders, people working in your own company, will actually improve you and maybe stress out you as well on some aspects. So to avoid like losing the encouragement at that time, you should basically follow, I think, your principle, which is loving the problem, seeing why you started this, seeing that you were passionate about solving this problem, and you will be able to do it. And you just have to build around it, you just have to work around it, and it will take some time, but you will work around it through. Oh, it was quite inspiring, Sanjay, to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming to the Prudent Finance Great Conversations podcast. And we hope to see you soon, and after like 20, 30 episodes as well, and talk about it more in class, to actually innovate more and see what you can guide our professionals and students as well. So thank you so much, Sanjay, for coming in. Uh, and hopefully this was an insightful session for you and as well, and you will make both our audiences and for us a great, you can say, speaker to be listening to. And I've been in I just wanted to tell our audience that I've been in a family with Sanjay, and I've inspired by him when I first started my job in Wells Fargo. And I was finding no one. I was like going, hey, where, okay, where, who should I talk to, or who should I even text? And then I came out to meet Sanjay. He's my uncle, and he basically was working at that time, I think, in American Express or Mastercard. And I reached out to him. He guided me on the text, but that was so inspirational that he said that when I was taking up like decisions on my job and everything, that actually inspired me and thought that okay, like this is kind of a strong opinion which I needed, and this is what I wanted to hear as well. So thank you so much, Sanjay.
Thank you, Shivam. I appreciate the opportunity. All the best. Thanks very much for that.